All right, so moving on to the 6:30 p.m. session of the November 17th Planning Commission. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're moving on to petitions and communications. This is a time when anyone may address the commission regarding items that are not listed as public hearings on tonight's agenda. The public hearings scheduled on tonight's agenda are the Spano Corner annexation, Spano Corner rezoning, and Valley Farms rezoning. Additionally, we would ask that you would hold comments that you may have on regarding any application that has been filed with the city or which is likely to be filed with the city until the public hearing on those items, where we will welcome comments. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the commission regarding anything else tonight? No. Seeing none, we'll move on to public hearings. At this time, I would like to explain the procedure for public hearings. The applicant will be given an opportunity to make a presentation. After the presentation, I will ask those who are in favor of the applicant to speak, and then those who are in opposition may speak. The applicant will then be given an opportunity for rebuttal. After all the testimony has been heard, the public input portion of the hearing will be closed, and questions will be taken from the Planning Commission. I would like to now swear in anyone who wishes to speak in any public hearing before this commission tonight. Please raise your right hand, and I'll swear you all in now. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in matters before this commission is the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please answer, I do. I do. Thank you, and please be seated. So the first public hearing will be the ANN 2015-0005 Spano Corner annexation and Z2015-0010 Spano Corner rezoning. Staff, are there any posting or notification requirements?
Yes, all of the requirements have been met. We do have an affidavit that the public notice was mailed 12 days before the public hearing, and the public notice ran in the paper on October 29th of this year, and the applicant does have the posting log verifying that the property was posted 15 days prior to the public hearing, and we'll submit that first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay. So the posting log and the affidavit mailing are made a permanent part of the record, and we'll be looking for those to be added tomorrow. All right. Are there any additions or corrections to the staff report?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Sheriff, quick question. Is the third piece, the Valley Farms rezoning, are we hearing all three of these concurrently? They're separate? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so is there I presume that you're the representative of the applicant. You may go ahead and proceed with your presentation. For the record, though, would you state your name and address and spell it?
Sure.
Johnny probably has it, but...
My name is
for good measure.
Ilan Salzberg. I'm the manager of Brewlab LLC, which is the entity that purchased both Spano Corner and Valley Farm. Should I spell my name? Business address is 1516 Xavier, Suite 001, Denver 80204. The presentation includes both Spano Corner and Valley Farm. I didn't segregate the two, so I'll discuss both simultaneously. Presentation is fairly brief. Behind you, you'll see a general overview of the site. Spano Corner, what we call Spano Corner, is 52nd and Marshall. It's been in the Spano family since 1923. So we wanted to honor that history and keep the name Spano. The second site, Valley Farms, is the name of the Spano family that owned that corner, that Spano family's greenhouse business that they operated on the north side of 52nd. We call that site Valley Farms. On the site behind you, you can kind of see it tucked in between the business office park, and then the excavation company. So that gives you a general overview of the site. It's in the Clear Creek enterprise zone and improvement and business area. The first site is Spano Corner. To discuss both, this site is currently in Jefferson County, zoned agricultural. I think that's sort of an artifact of the history. In 1923, it was a 160-acre parcel that extended south of 76, south of 70, and to the east. And over the years, that corner remained. There's a beautiful farmhouse in the northwest corner of the site. This is a somewhat sort of photoshopped, but this rendering shows where the greenhouses no longer are, and you can see a lot of storage currently on site. On site, it's generally outdoor and indoor storage, minimal amount of greenhouse use for vegetable starts, various warehouse uses, and then a little bit of residential use. That's the current uses of the site. The Spanos had a farm auction in October and cleared out the bulk of their inventory, but we're continuing to go through that. So that's the Spano Corner site. It's bounded by Arvada on more than 1/6 contiguity. It's generally connected to Arvada, hence the rezoning, the annexation portion into Arvada. I'll talk about the zoning portion a little bit later in the presentation. The second site is the Valley Farm site. This is on the north side of 52nd. The other side is on the south side of 52nd. This is also slightly photoshopped. There's actually a house that's still standing on the south end of the lot. That house is slated for demolition. We're just waiting on the state to give us the thumbs up to complete that demolition. Asbestos has been removed. Power is off in that house. That house has been abandoned for as long as I can remember. There are 3 residential units on the site. We don't intend on changing that use right away. The back of the site, there's a warehouse and greenhouse. The warehouse, and I was talking about samples, the warehouse is sort of the beginning of our redevelopment of the site towards our long-term goals. There'll be a kombucha distillery. That's a fermented tea drink, which I brought some folks on another meeting. So I owe you all guys a sample of Happy Leaf kombucha. It's terrific stuff. They're a great growing business. They're currently in Rhino, and they're being sort of rents and so forth, or redevelopment there is pushing them farther afield. They'll bring 4 to 6 jobs with them right away, and they are growing like gangbusters. They're getting into Whole Foods and bottling and canning, and we hope to help that growth pattern with them as we eventually develop the prior site, the Spano Corner site, with industrial uses, warehouse uses, dock high loading to allow them to continue on their growth trajectory, along with other businesses. But Spano Corner, Happy Leaf is sort of most present in our mind right now because that's the most immediate redevelopment or user on the site. This gives you an overview of the surrounding zoning. You can see the swath of CCA zoning just to the north. That's a large industrial area. There is the I-1 directly next door to the Valley Farm site. I-1, I think, was sort of I don't know exactly, but I-1 and CCA have a similar bearing. And then CCA is actually contiguous to our site. The Clear Creek Business Park is CCA and looks very much like what we can imagine this site growing towards. I think this map is a little bit old because, as I understand it, CCA now extends. Oh no, that's right, that's correct. Anyway. There we go. What our application is really following the Clear Creek I-76 community plan that was put into place in the early 90s. The Clear Creek I-76 community plan laid out a plan for redevelopment and growth for the Clear Creek area, and we're 20 years later, following in the path of that Clear Creek plan. The Clear Creek plan designated this area to be CCA zoning, which is what we're requesting. You can kind of see the map on the right shows the Clear Creek plan to allow for CCA zoning, and we're simply following in the footsteps of that plan. One thing to sort of reiterate and clarify, it was a concern at a prior meeting. Marijuana is nowhere in our business plan. We don't want nothing to do with it. You know it's not allowed. It has nothing to do with anything we're trying to accomplish by any stretch of the imagination. I want that to be 10,000% clear. It is not there. So just that was that's a concern that people have when they see a greenhouse and somebody redeveloping it in Colorado in 2015. So that's not on the list. But what is on the list is all of the opportunities of CCA. There's a lot of industrial and retail opportunities. Our vision is that Marshall is and can become a great retail corridor, and we feel like making Spano Corner a maker's district of some kind, makers meaning people that create things, kombucha, coffee, eyeglasses, different manufacturing processes. And those are tenants that we've already spoken with on some level, ice cream. Those sorts of uses, I think, would be terrific uses where you can have a flex component and an industrial component, which is in high demand to be able to have a place to make something as well as a place to sell it. And if you can combine them in the same spot, and I think Marshall offers that opportunity, as does 52nd. I think that's the opportunity for that site, and we want to approach it slowly and over time. We're the owner developers. We are not jumping all in at once. We want to bite it off slowly. We'd like to do this for many years as we have a healthy and successful project that continues to grow the Clear Creek area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, realizing now that the applicant's presentation for both cases is one and the same, and that the applicant is the same, I think for the sake of efficiency, it might be good to open the Valley Farms hearing now. Presumably, the applicant confirmed he has nothing more to add to that particular application, and then you can entertain input on
all
both
three.
matters and ask
Okay.
questions of both matters.
All right. Yeah, I didn't know if there was maybe a contiguous, A then B kind of problem. Okay. So, so that being the case, then I will also open the hearing for Z2015-0009, Valley Farms, 6265 West 52nd Avenue rezoning.
And I assume I'm accurate that you
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, I think about them as one
Okay.
related project with different aspects. And I didn't mention much in the plan, but one is already in Arvada. The north side of 52nd is already part of Arvada, the south side's not. So there's that one wrinkle, but it's
All right. Well, thank you for your presentation. At this point, I'll open it up to the members of the public. If anybody would like to speak in favor of the applicant, or if anybody would like to speak. Did you have something, Mr. Simpson?
We might just technically make the record that the notification requirements were met in the Valley Farms case also.
Oh, thank you.
And
I have a question. Can you always say something in favor, or do you have a question about, we have our own?
So why don't we go ahead and come up to the podium. So the next step would be I would open up to people speaking against it. Why don't we do this?
I'm not speaking against
that's
it, I
okay.
just have a question.
Why don't we do this? I'll swear you in.
Okay.
Go ahead and state your name and address for the record.
hold on, one second. Can we get a quick record made of notification requirements having been met in the Valley Farms case?
Okay.
Yes, and to confirm, all notification requirements have been met. We do have the affidavit of mailing. The notice was published on October 29th, and we will be receiving the posting log first thing in the morning.
Okay. And the staff report, posting log, and affidavit of mailing for the Valley Farms hearing are made a rezoning or made a permanent part of the record. Okay, so go ahead and state your name. First, let me swear you in,
Okay.
and then I'll have you state your name and address for the record.
Okay.
When you pose your question, it'll feel awkward because nobody's going to answer you.
Okay.
You'll just pose your question and then you'll sit down.
Okay.
And then we'll consider that, we'll have it
Okay.
answered or something.
I understand.
At some point, okay?
My name is Bethany Barros.
First, let me get to my... Do you solemnly, can you raise your right hand? I'm sorry. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in matters before this commission is the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please answer I do.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right.
I just have a question, that's all. I just wanted to make sure, since there is a home right next,
I'm sorry. I just need you to state your name
Oh,
and spell
Bethany
it and your
Barrows.
address for the record.
I just wanted to make sure that since there is a home right next to this property that was purchased, that there was not going to be any kind of toxins from the manufacturing and things like that, since the home is literally like, you know, from here to right over by that door. So, and there's, you know, children that live in that home. So I think that should be just to make sure that they're not going to be inhaling any kind of things when they're playing outside and stuff like that. So
Okay.
that's all.
right. And
That's
can
the
I
only
just
question
get you
I
to
have.
state your address?
My address is 6711 West 63rd Avenue in Arvada.
Okay. And the spelling of your last name?
B as in boy, A, R as in Robert, O, S as in Sam.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak against the application or have other questions? All right, so seeing none, do you care to address the question?
So I can tell you that, you know, there are existing residences also on site that,
Yeah.
sorry,
Speak
there
into the
are existing residences on site, and that is certainly, you know, something that we're cognizant of. We're also cognizant of not creating any toxins that harm anybody. I mean, that's fundamental to the creation of just good business practice and being good neighbors. That said, we don't have a very direct decision of what is going to be produced on site. You know, so I can't tell you what's going to be produced on site or the timeline for when that will be produced on site. But, you know, city guidelines, state guidelines, construction guidelines are such to mitigate any, you know, toxins being spread. So it is certainly our intention to follow best practices of every kind in construction and so forth. And so we are very cognizant of the surrounding residential community and trust that Arvada zoning and Arvada building will not allow us to do anything that would harm anyone, and it's not something that we would sleep well at night with if we did.
Okay. All right, thank you. So I will now I will close the public comment, and I will open it for questions from the commission. Mr. Goff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a couple questions for applicant. So you can have a retail shop there, correct? There's a retail shop as well as a grow operations? Is there a retail shop?
There are greenhouses currently on site. They don't grow anything anymore. They're really indoor storage.
Okay.
So as of today, we really have effectively indoor storage with minimal greenhouse use. They occasionally do vegetable starts in there. That's been the historic use. So the current use is really a storage use more than anything.
Okay.
In the CCA, the way the CCA zone is allowed to sort of lays out the progress. We have basic concepts of the site plan. It's sort of a phased approach. And in the second phase, as we're looking at the site, we hope to do retail.
Okay.
I don't expect that'll be for another 3 years before we do the retail component of the construction. I think our first phase will be more on the warehouse side.
Okay.
But at this point, we're not applying for construction. We're just simply getting the zoning in place so we can know.
I appreciate that clarification. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I have a question for staff. I'm still a little unclear on is there a change in use that's being addressed?
Right now, we are establishing the zoning. With the kombucha coming in to the Valley Farms property, we'll process an administrative site plan review to address the change in use then and make sure that the use meets all site planning development requirements, primarily parking, because they won't be doing any exterior modifications to the property. And so with the Clear Creek zoning, rezoning to the Clear Creek District. They don't have to submit a concept plan or any kind of development plan with this rezoning. So it really comes down to when they're ready to redevelop, they will submit a site plan with the specific uses and then showing that they meet all of the development standards then.
Okay, so then any concerns around uses or impacts and things like that would be addressed administratively through that process. Really what we're being asked to consider is this parcel of land more appropriately zoned in this new manner?
Correct.
Is that the operative question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
If I could ask a follow-up on that. So on the Valley Farms piece with the rezoning, the existing housing becomes non-compliant going forward, right?
It becomes legal non-conforming, and then if the
Non-conforming,
use ceases for 30 days, then it will no longer be allowed. So as
Okay.
long as it continues consistently.
It's a conforming use?
Yes,
Okay.
legal non-conforming.
So no one's going to get thrown out of their homes, right? No one's going to get thrown out of
No
their homes.
one's-
That's
No one has to move.
That's what that exchange just meant, right? Okay, good. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion? Mr. Kraus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that ANN 2015-0005 Spano Corner Annexation located at 5190 Marshall Street be recommended to City Council for approval. This motion is based on the findings of fact and the approval criteria on page 7 of the staff report.
Is there any discussion of the motion? Commissioners, cast your votes. And for some reason, mine is not taking. Yeah. No, I'm having technical difficulties here. It won't accept a vote from my keypad. Just do a voice vote? Is that what you're saying? Just do a voice vote? Okay, all right. Ms. Caswell?
Aye.
Mr. Mr. Goff?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
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 And that passes 6-0, all commissioners voting in favor. Is there another motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I move that Z 2015-0010 Spano Corner rezoning from Jefferson County A1 Agricultural to City of Arvada CCA Clear Creek A Industrial and Commercial Subdistrict located at 5190 Marshall Street be recommended to City Council for approval. This motion is based on the findings of fact and the approval criteria on pages 7 and 8 of the staff report.
Is there any discussion of the motion? All right, commissioners, cast your votes verbally, please. Ms. Caswell?
Aye.
Mr. Goff?
Aye.
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 And that passes also 6-0, all commissioners present voting in favor. Is there... Okay. Mr. Kraus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that Z 2015-0009 Valley Farms rezoning from City of Arvada R-MD residential medium density to CCA Clear Creek A Industrial and Commercial Subdistrict located at 6265 West 52nd Avenue be recommended to City Council for approval. This motion is based on the findings of fact and the approval criteria on page 7 of the staff report.
Is there any discussion of the motion? Mr.
Yes.
Rothschild?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. I think it's a great opportunity to bring jobs, interesting product, and I think you've got a real opportunity for retail development in that corner. So, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, commissioners, cast your votes. Ms. Caswell?
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Goff? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All right, and that also passes 6-0, all commissioners present voting in favor. And thank you very much for your presentation and for your application. Sounds like an appropriate project. Please continue to work with staff, and they'll keep you informed on the next steps and how to move forward. With that, we're moving on to other items. Staff, are there any other items to consider tonight?
Chairman, just wanted to mention that the next meeting will be December 8th, and there will be one item with 3 different cases associated with it, and that will be the Morning Star Senior Living Project at 64th and Easley.
And, John, I know that Steve won't be at the next meeting, so I'll make a note of it in the minutes.
Well, and I was just going to note that I leave for a trip on the 7th.
Okay, so we'll have to
So,
do this.
yeah.
Okay.
Will our starting time be 6:30?
That is correct, 6:30.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, we are adjourned.